What's up, guys? It's John Dominique, the Soul Proponent. And this morning, I kind of want to talk about why spiritual work is so difficult. I think many people believe that spiritual work is a matter of arriving at a destination or accomplishing some type of goal or some type of feat. But really, it's kind of more of a reversing, an undoing, or an unlearning. It's not a matter of doing anything. And that's the tricky part. So it gets difficult because there's all these ideas, these misconceptions, and these misunderstandings about what the spiritual path involves. Like I said, it's an unraveling and an undoing of the need to do anything. You don't lift a finger, basically. But to get to that point, we have to understand the barriers because there's so many obstacles. The main one I think that gets overlooked pretty often is judgment, the need for judgment, and the need to control that comes along with that need for judgment. This is an activity that we're so unconsciously engaged in consistently, almost all the time. I mean, if we look at it deeply, we can see that our thoughts, our ideas, our plans, our ideals of images of what we should live up to all involve a judgment against reality exactly the way it is without lifting a finger. And so embedded in the fabric of our identity of who we think we are, what we want to happen is judgment. It's everywhere, all the time, consistently. And the downfall of mankind is that, we bite the forbidden fruit of judgment. We don't know when to quit is the problem. So it becomes an issue because that need for judgment is an attachment. We're very invested in judgment and the need to continue to judge all the time. If we were to let go of that need to judge, it feels like, we would die. Life wouldn't be worth living. There'd be no value in anything anymore. So we need to look at that deeply and understand why and how it prevents us from spiritual awakening. It's a barrier. It's an obstacle. It's a block. Mainly because we're attached to the identity that needs to judge. That glue, that stickiness, that need to have needs becomes very feverish if we try to let it go. We won't know how badly we're attached until we try to quit. And that part of the spiritual path of looking at how stuck we are in our judgments is difficult. It's painful. No one wants to do it. So it takes a lot of effort, like a huge, lifelong, continuous, consistent amount of work to undo that propensity to judge, that inclination, that orientation. It seems almost impossible. But if we work at it consistently every day, chip away at it slowly, consistently, we can reverse that need and get to the point where we don't have to lift a finger anymore. It starts to work on its own. It starts to work for us. It compounds on itself. It feeds on itself when we look at it closely and consistently and just work on it, even if we don't feel we're making any progress. Because on the path, it doesn't feel like we're making progress, especially at the beginning, because it feels like, we're still stuck in that need to judge. It never goes away. But consistently walking the path every day, slowly chipping away, and just looking and understanding the awareness and deepening our awareness of why that need for judgment is there, how we're participating in it, how we're playing a part in our own downfall. That begins the process, basically. And again, we put forth at the beginning, we put forth effort because we're not aware of how much we need to judge. So we need to put forth effort to understand every single way, every single reason that we're judging and why and how it prevents us from the spiritual path and awakening to God. So at the beginning, yes, it takes a lot of effort. We do have to lift a finger. We have to work very hard consistently. And it's a tall, tall order. Almost no one wants to do it because there's always something more important, basically. But when we get to the point where we can see the judgments and it becomes effortless after a while, it takes the work starts to feed on itself, compound on itself, and then we don't have to lift a finger, and then it becomes easy. Like the judgments unravel by themselves. We can see things a little bit clearer without having to do much. It gets to the point where it becomes totally like we're not like it's effortless, basically. But that's very difficult because it's not the usual approach. Most approaches are like, oh, I have to do something, I have to believe, I have to try. And yeah, that's true, like I said at the beginning, but in the long run, there's no effort involved anymore after a while. So that's the point where we're gonna, where we get to actually doing spiritual work, and that's where the growth and the development happens. But to get to that point, first, it takes a lot of work. So there's a lot of barriers, but it is possible. And we need to see why and how judgment, the need for judgment, is the barrier, is the obstacle. John Dominique, the sole proponent.